Wow, people are super mad at Xbox, which I guess you can sort of understand. For those of you outside of the loop, Xbox Live, or Gold as it's called, previously it would cost about $60 a year to play online games. And that's, I think, around the same price point that you see on the PlayStation usually. And Microsoft made the decision that in the middle of a console generation leap, so from the Xbox One X and S to the Series X and S, that they were going to up the price, doubling it to $120 every year, which isn't great. Now, I think the reason they did this is because they've been pushing Xbox Games Pass, which includes Xbox Live, as well as like over 100 free games. All of their first-party games dropped there day one, so Halo Infinite will be there. Every new Gears of War, every new Forza, every new Bethesda game now. And they've added things like EA Play is now part of it, so you can play all your favorite EA games. And it looks like Ubisoft's service, Ubisoft Plus, I believe is what it's called, is coming to it as well. So they're sort of trying to make it uncomfortable to be just on Xbox Live, so that you go over it and you try the new thing and you sort of become more invested in the ecosystem. It's not dissimilar from how Apple, they have like the Apple Watch, the MacBook, iPad, iPhone, and once you have a couple of those or you're really invested, you don't really want to change over. It's a lot of the reasons that people don't usually make a leap from a game publisher like a Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo title to, quote unquote, the enemy or the other side. Because they have a huge game catalog and they don't want to lose it, especially if you have digital games that transfer with you to the next generation. And in Xbox's case, a lot of them upscale in frame rate and lighting and ray tracing and load times, which is an incredible experience. I do wish that there was a way to make Fallout New Vegas look a little bit prettier. But hey, maybe we'll get New Vegas 2 since Obsidian, works there. Xbox company now. Anyway, people are mad about it. If you don't want Games Pass and you have an Xbox 360, which a lot of people still do, or you have one of the Xbox One era, or maybe you already have an X or an S, but you don't really. I know a lot of people who don't like online games. My siblings are big on that. We grew up mostly in rural parts of the world with horrible internet, so it wasn't something we could really get into. Plus, at least for me, I grew up, I would say that online video gaming really kicked up late middle school, early high school. Other than that, it was just Halo and Call of Duty, and some of the most fun you could have is local couch co-op. So why even change over? It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing quite like talking smack to your buddy who's sitting next to you and like you're eating pizza. It's just local couch co-op pizza parties were most of the reason people went to church parties, 100%. Like, if you heard a youth group had a big TV and a couple Xboxes, it didn't matter what denomination you were. You could be like a Luciferian, like, Hail Satan, sacrifice the virgins. You're there for pizza, Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, and some sweet Halo sweat, It's just... Plus, they're always cute girls, and when you're in high school, let's be real. That's the reason anyone goes to summer camps. You're like, all right, let's see who I can be friends with on, this crazy new thing called Facebook. Maybe I'll text them on I just got a new slider cell phone, so I can text as a full keyboard. It's crazy. So, it was a different era. Anyway, there's still a lot of people who sort of exist in the I prefer first person, or they prefer offline capable games. You got your like Assassin's Creeds and stuff. Although it seems like every game now has an online element, like a store or DLC, or it has to verify with the server that you have the right to play it, which is stupid. Once it's on the device, just let them play it. I get that it's like you don't want people downloading it to a bunch of different devices and then switching back to the first device as their primary console. Now everyone has it despite not paying for it, but also don't be a douche. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is people are pissed because Microsoft did a dumb thing thinking that they were going to push people further into the ecosystem, and instead, they probably turned a few of them off. Now, normally I would say, wow, that's really dumb. It's really anti-consumer. It was a kind of a boneheaded move, and everyone should give them flack. But I saw how intensely people were upset and the things they were saying and how pretty much it was just unanimously don't do that. And in less than 24 hours, I think it was maybe even less than 12, Xbox said, we're not changing the price. We're going to keep it at $60 a month. And they're actually improving the service because, like, let's say you're big on Fortnite or Apex Legends, a free-to-play game. Well, previously you needed Xbox Live to play those because it has an online, aspect of the game. The whole game is online. And you don't have to anymore. It's actually, they sweetened the pot, so to say. And I think, from what I've been told, that's the way it is on PlayStation. But I can't think of a whole lot of PlayStation games that I'm like, that's a really great free-to-play game that I love to play on PlayStation. Like, it's just like, yeah, they don't really have like a Halo or anything like that sticks out, or even a Gears of War. They're kind of just, and this is my personal opinion, it's all right if I grew up on PlayStation. I still have Infamous and Resistance, and I think the new God of War is one of the greatest games that's ever been made. And, they've got a lot of good stuff. That being said, they are kind of a copy and paste after Uncharted and The Last of Us. They kind of became, cool, let's make third-person stories with really talented actors and sweeping soundscapes that'll tug on your emotions and have very similar gameplay mechanics. Which is fine if that's what you like. If you like crime thriller novels, it doesn't matter if that's all that someone writes, because that's what you want. You're hungry for it. If it's a great burger joint that only makes burgers, no reason to go anywhere else. You're hungry for burgers. I'm just not hungry for PlayStation's burgers. So people were sort of giving Xbox flack, and they're like, we can already play all of our free-to-play games there. I'm like, okay, cool, I guess. That doesn't mean, though, that like if you get Call of Duty, which you pay for, you still need live to play it. So if it's a bot game, yeah, but if it's a free-to-play game, that's the caveat across both boards. But I feel like people are getting too hung up on the fact that they almost pushed the new price point to double, and they almost screwed up. In fact, they admitted that it was a mistake, that it was dumb, that they're always trying to make it a better place for gamers, because honestly, they just want... These are all companies that they provide a service and they create devices because it makes them money and it makes them successful. It's an investment for them. All of these people who work at Xbox and Nintendo and Sony, those are people who want to make money. They work there and they do things to be successful. Even if it's something that's the right thing, it's the right thing because it'll make you shop at, within their infrastructure over and over and over again, which isn't necessarily bad. But as Bert Kreischer pointed out on Two Bears, One Cave, people who do nice things, they do it selfishly. You volunteer to Soup Kitchen because it makes you feel like you did something good. You like the way it makes you feel. It's sort of a cynical way to look at good things, but it's a reality of life. I don't think it's necessarily bad. And they were like, hey, we've made a bad choice. We're going to reverse the choice, keep it the status quo, and in fact sweeten the pot. And this is a case where consumers said, well, we just won't buy your products anymore. We'll build a PC, we'll do all these other things, and we'll just leave you behind in the dust. And they said, we don't want that. Our mistake. We thought this was a smart move. I don't know who thought it was, but someone did, and they reversed course. And people were going so far as to compare this to the Xbox One's announcement that it had to always be online, it would always be listening with the Kinect, and you couldn't return games or trade in games. Like once you bought the hard disk, you couldn't go to GameStop or sell it or give it to a friend. And that's when Phil Spencer was brought in to course correct all of Xbox, and my God, he's done it. That man has some, he's got some energy about him. I'll just say that. He did a nearly impossible task over the course of a console generation and really turned the tides. And people were trying to say that not even him announcing it, but someone else saying, hey, we're going to double the price of gold, when most of the people I know who play Xbox do have Games Pass. I have it. It's great. It costs less than a new game every year, and I get to play a new game like every month. And on top of that, like, okay, well, maybe I do want to buy that game, but I can try it out on this, and now I know if it sucks. And all of their Bethesda games and EA games and all the stuff I mentioned before, it's all on there. So I can test drive something before I buy it like for myself, because I do like to physically own discs or to purchase it so it's not reliant on a subscription. But it's a great way to test the waters. And if there's a game that my wife is really like, I'd really like to play that, and I'm like, I don't want to waste my money on that crap, but it'll make her happy, most of the time it's in that catalog. So it works out. It's not going to work out for every single person, but I do think that gold it's outdated at this point. They have a better service that at least 85% of the player base will probably be inclined to use. I just feel like people are really focusing on the negative of like, they almost screwed up, and it was a much smaller screw up about a service that should already be phased out, in my opinion. And they're going to stay mad about what almost happened instead of looking at the victory of, it would be the same way of like the Senate was trying to pass, legal documentation that would change something that the vast majority of Americans thought was not what should happen. And they all voiced their opinions. And in the same day it was announced, they said, you know what, you're right. We're not going to do that. In fact, we're going to make it better in the direction that you want it to go. People would be praising the fact that we all came together and did that. But I think it's we're in a negative point in human history where everyone's very cooped up and aggressive and fearful and scared and angry and tired and just really burnt out. And it's easier to vent your anger, especially at a faceless organization like a big games publisher. And I see this as a victory, I see it, I really do. I think Xbox tried to do something and it was stupid, and people called them out for it, and we're better off because we're not going to have that situation. Like, we've escaped it. We've broken the atmosphere. We're out of the orbit of that dumb idea, and we've gone to better things. And it's just, I find it super bizarre that people are hanging up on the bad part of the journey. It's like, oh, I got a flat tire, and the guy came over, and he helped me fix my tire. And in fact, not only did he help me fix my tire, but he gave me a card. And so now if I stop and go to a mechanic shop, I'm going to get even more off of my stuff. Like, my day is actually better, despite it temporarily looking like it was going to be worse. Rough analogy, but I'm flying off the cuff on this one, And I don't get it. I understand the inclination to go negative, but I don't see the point. It doesn't bring you happiness. It doesn't make you happier. It doesn't make you feel more fulfilled. It doesn't bring you joy. It doesn't make Xbox feel worse. It doesn't make Sony feel better, although I'm sure a lot of Sony people are like, oh, we never did that. I'm like, yeah, your games are $70 now, though, so shut up, dude. Like, $70 for an Xbox game is like, that's like the premiere edition of a game. Of like, this plus all the DLC and season pass and this extra DLC character. Like, it's all the extra crap. So, yeah, hop off your damn high horse. People can play what they want to play, but I don't know. It just feels like, oh, my boyfriend doesn't cheat on me. Like, yeah, but he beats you. It's different, but it's bad. You can't brag about that. You can't act like you're better. That's why I got so frustrated during the election. They're like, oh, look at me. My guy's better. Look, he does this. I'm like, yeah, but he also does this. Open your eyes. You can say that you don't like one person, but you shouldn't use that same grading scale and act like yours passed the test. It's ridiculous. It's a lot of bias in the world. It's not their fault, People are riled up. The news and, friends and fear and family, it riles you up and makes you say things you don't fully even realize you don't believe. It's not their fault. People are easily swayed, and when you're emotional, you can't be logical. And there's a lot of emotions going on in the world. So, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to say at the end of the day, when you see something like this happen, whether it's in the games industry, film industry, a slight caveat, people were mad at HBO Max because they're releasing movies at the same time on HBO Max as well as in movie theaters. And I'm going to do a whole thing on that. Studios weren't going to release movies regardless. So yeah, they might have to share now, but sharing is better than not having any reason for people to come to your establishment. I'm just saying, maybe instead of bailing out airlines and yacht companies, people should be bailing out local businesses and movie theaters, because that's a classic American cinematic experience. That's like apple pie, baseball, going to the movie theater with your gal. That's classic Americana, baby. Anyway. But yeah, we won. The consumer won, and people are mad that it's like winning a fight and being upset you had to get into the fight. Like, your life is better now. Why are you upset? And if you don't exist within the Xbox ecosystem, It didn't affect you, so shut up. Like, it's like when someone gets upset about someone's breakup in a relationship or a celebrity couple breaking up or getting together. Like, it doesn't affect you. You aren't part of that relationship. Get over it. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Maybe closer to like 25 cents at this point. What can I say? I'm a heavy spender. But yeah, just seemed a little silly. And I mean, Xbox, they announced that Halo Infinite, which I'm very excited about, that the multiplayer aspect of that game will be free to play. So that will be free. All you need to have is a PC or an Xbox type device, and you can play. You can play the Halo multiplayer experience. So the thing that we used to go to like churches on Saturday and Wednesday nights to go play and sit with your buddy Tyler, who had a sick dirt bike, and you're like, you making fun of him and his frosted tips, whatever, you spill some Coke on your Jinko jeans. It's a whole experience. It's an experience the world has been robbed of. Looking back at sort of the emo haircuts, though, we've moved in a good direction in some respects. I miss slider phones. I miss flip phones. I miss being connected enough to talk, but not so connected that it was just like everything was always screaming in your face all the time and there's no escape from it. It's never going to stop. It's always terrible. Like, sweet Jesus, give me a break. But, I think for progress, things will get better. Things will get worse. We no longer have dudes walking around with the Hannah Montana Rico haircut, but also you have a device in your pocket that's giving your balls radiation and listening to every conversation you have and constantly making you feel like the world is falling apart. And then news people are like, I can't believe everyone's so scared and depressed. What's wrong with them? Were they just listening to the nonstop push notifications we put out? Like, oof, life. It's a win for game people. And I think even if you're not an Xbox, you see what Xbox screwed up. No one else is going to try to do that now. So they took the bullet for you. So this is a good time. We won. Be happy. Smile. Think about something that's good in your life. My body's falling apart. I woke up not being able to feel one of my legs today. It just was floating pain. That's not great. It took like 30 minutes for it to work. Stretching, hot pads, taking pills, not good stuff. But you know what? I have a dog. Did that dog get sick and throw up today? Yeah. But you know what? She's a sweet girl and I love her. And, there's a lot of things that are falling apart. You got to look at the good. You can play Xbox games that are free to play without live. Live isn't going to change price. No other game publisher is going to try and push that now. We're safe. Also, we got a lot of new Star Wars games coming out, so there's positive things to look at. That's what I'm trying to say. Be positive. Complain about something that's bad. Get it out of your system, but like fart. Just, it's out, it's done, and then you move on. Don't let it be one of those leakers that just keep seeping out quietly for like an hour. You fart and you move. That's all I'm saying. So fart your anger. Go tweet about it. Go put your Facebook post. Go on Instagram Live, whatever, Reddit post. Write in a bathroom stall. Do your thing, whatever you do. Be safe. And then move on. Be like, you know what? This is pretty cool. I mean, Forza has a Lego mode. That's cool. I can just drive around as a Lego person. That's ridiculous. I love it. So, I don't know. Just try to be positive. Anyway, thanks for listening. I know we haven't been around much. Poppycock Podcast. During the pandemic, we couldn't meet up with other people, and electronics were not forgiving. My wife and I also had corona, and a lot of things fell apart. There's going to be a whole update on everything that happened. I'm not going to waste your time here, but needless to say, it's coming back. This is an obvious sign of that. It's not going to just be me rambling like a Southerner version of Bill Burr to himself. There will be other people on the podcast as well. It's just in a state of flux. It's going to be coming very soon. And this just happened to be the first topic that I was like, come on, guys. Why are we making a bad thing out of a good thing? So here we are. This episode is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Just kidding. How much money does that company have that every single YouTube channel in the world is sponsored by them? It's them, it's Keeps, it's MyUndies, it's ExpressVPN. They're like the Infinity Gauntlet of sponsors. Today's sponsor is not having a sponsor. No 30-minute conversation about crap you didn't click on to listen to. Isn't that nice? It's brought to you by Silence. Here's a word from them. Wow, that's great. Thanks for listening. This has been the Poppycock Podcast. I forget, we usually do a fun fact of the day. I didn't come in with the fun fact. Roxy, you got a fun fact for us? No? That's useless. Oh, fun fact. The Irishman. Scorsese and the gang, they wanted to make that movie for like 20 years, but they couldn't get the script right or the timing right. And then when they got the script right, they were too old, so they had to wait for the technology to show up. They could make them young again instead of recasting. That's interesting. It's weird. Anyway, thanks for listening, and stay safe, stay sane. We'll see you in the next episode.